everything right, it was you and me.
Hello, my beautiful friends of the internet, and welcome back to my channel, or to. My name is Nayeema, and welcome to my channel, nayemasreads, where we talk all things romance and romance books. Today we are doing the Give a Book tag made by 𝓫𝓲𝓬𝓲𝓪. I'm gonna have it linked down below. This tag is for any book that you really want to recommend, but I'm just gonna focus on romance books because that is primarily what I read. But I saw this video months ago. I just thought it looked like so much fun, talking about books that maybe some people might have not heard you talk about, or maybe tons of people heard you talk about. It's really just about giving a book rec for whoever needs it and whichever question fits what you need in that moment. So I'm very excited for it today, and I'm mostly going to be talking about romance books. As I stated before, a lot of romance recs to give. So without further ado, let's just get right into today's video. Okay, so the first prompt is give a book to make someone smile, and for this I chose The Cheat Sheet by Sarah Adams. I read this one. It was one of my first books of 2021, and to this day I think about how much it made me smile and how happy it made me. It was so cute. It's mutual pining, two best friends, and it is literally heaven. Like, I just remember I was getting my nails done with my mom, and my mom looks over and she just sees me smiling down at my phone. She's like, why are you smiling right now? Or I might have been laughing, one of the two. This book makes me so incredibly happy, and I'm not personally the biggest Friends to Lovers lover, but this book really did do something for me, and I feel like it would make so many of you guys really happy. It's mutual pining, best friends to lovers. I think it also is It's Always Been You. It has that trope in there as well. It's fake dating. It's just magnificent. It follows this girl named Bree and this guy named Nathan, and they are best friends. Nathan is a star quarterback for an NFL team, and Bree teaches classes as a ballet instructor, and these two both are madly in love with the other person, and they are too scared to say something. They don't want to ruin the friendship. They feel like the other person won't reciprocate their feeling. So Bree has had to sit back and watch Nathan date other girls, and same with Nathan. And one drunken night, Bree accidentally talks to a reporter when she didn't know that she was talking to a reporter, and now the whole world thinks that her and Nathan are together, so they fake date, and it's so great. It's literally heaven. Made me smile so much. I thought that Bree's relationship with Nathan, like their friendship even, was just so cute. Like, Nathan was always there to build her up, which is great, and Bree had such a great relationship with all of Nathan's friends as well. I just thought it was all just so adorable, and I usually don't like books like this, so that's how you know that this one will make you smile. The next prompt is give a book that you don't talk about enough, and for this I am saying Heated Rivalry by Rachel Reed. This is my friend from Reads Romance. This is her book. This book is what she is known by. In my opinion, she loves this book. She's read this book maybe 7 times now. I don't even know who's counting anymore, but she originally got me into this book and this series and this world and the characters, and it is amazing. Like, I think I've only talked about it in one of my wrap-ups the month that I read this book, but it truly deserves to be talked about more. If you guys want more hockey recs, I highly recommend going to check out from Reads Romance. But Heated Rivalry, it is quite simply one of the best books I've ever read in my entire life. It is great. It is rivals to lovers, which I love and I don't read enough about. It's it's a hockey romance, and it's basically these two hockey stars, Ilya Rozanov and Shane Hollander. They've been pit up against each other ever since, like, I don't know, whenever, I really am so bad with hockey, but it's right before you get drafted. There's the exhibitions, and people watch you, and they watch you back in like college or high school, and I don't know, however that works, the whole recruiting process. And everybody has always said that these two will be rivals. These two are the best. There's going to be a big competition between them, and so that really got into Ilya and Shane's head. And when they meet, Shane is kind of just like this golden retriever boy, and who's really happy. Ilya is very cold and standoffish, so when they finally meet, Shane kind of introduces himself to Ilya, and Ilya's like, ugh, like, I don't like you, we hate each other, we're rivals, whatever. So they go on like that for a few years, maybe even like maybe a few months, and then one night something happens and they decide to get together. So just imagine the whole entire world literally thinking that you hate each other and you're fooling everyone and hooking up, and feelings are kind of starting to develop, but not really, and you're so close to being caught, and it's so hard to see each other because you're on rivaling teams and the teams compete like twice a year. It's great. Like, this book is amazing. I don't talk about it enough. It's definitely one of my favorites of this entire year thus far, and I'm so excited because they are getting like a part 2 to their book in April this month, and I need to figure out what day, but I'm very excited to read it. The next prompt is give a book that you can't stop talking about, and that is Ecstasy by KV Rose. I feel like it's weird because tons of people always comment on my videos and DM me telling me that they read Ecstasy because of me and they loved it. So I feel like I talk about this a good amount, but I feel like for some reason I just still don't talk about it that much. Maybe it's because I don't want like you guys to be bored of just me talking about Ecstasy 24/7, but I feel like a lot of people know that this is my book and this is my shit, and I recommend the hell out of this. But Ecstasy, if you didn't know what it's about, I'm here to inform you. You guys need to read this ASAP. I love this book. It is a toxic romance. It gives euphoria in so many aspects. Like, I literally believe that KV Rose got so much inspiration from Euphoria. Euphoria is such an amazing book. But this book follows Zara, and I like to describe her as like a Rue meets Maddie. Zara is a drug addict. She is very, very addicted, and she's in this on-again, off-again relationship with this guy named Alex. And Alex is Nate Jacobs reincarnated. Like, literally, this is Nate Jacobs. And they have just a really toxic, unhealthy relationship, always going back and forth fighting, and one night their fighting just gets taken a little bit too far, and it's hard to recover from that. In come Eli. Eli is Alex's roommate, and he's always been there to kind of witness what has gone on between Alex and Zara. Now that Alex and Zara have gotten into this huge fight, Eli's like, ooh, maybe it's my time to slide in. And so he does, and it is crazy. This is like, I always describe it as not a traditional love triangle because of the plot twist in here. Who you think she's gonna end up with, exact opposite, and then who you think she's gonna end up with again, exact opposite. Like, it's just insanity, and it's so crazy and so good. I think that so many of you guys would really love this book for the toxicness. Like, it is great. And also, I sobbed. So many people, when I say sob and I tell my friends to read this book, they're like, I didn't sob, why did you cry? Like, because it was so, like, I can't explain how great this, I can't explain to you guys how much I love this book. Like, it's so good. And I just know, I don't know, I read it in one sitting, like in 2020. I've stayed up all night to read it, and it truly has stayed on my mind ever since. And I need to do a reread of this soon because it was just amazing. So the next prompt is give a book that people are either going to love or hate. And for this prompt, I knew what it was right away, and that is There Are No Saints by Sophie Lark. This is the special edition cover, so it looks, if it looks different to you, that's why. But this is a book that I'm always very hesitant to tell people to read and to recommend. I love this book, don't get me wrong, but I feel like it really just caters to people with a very specific taste. I get nervous whenever I tell my friends to read it, unless like I know your reading taste very well. I probably won't recommend this to you because it's very, you know, like, it's one of my favorite books ever, but it's definitely interesting. It's definitely not everybody's gonna love it, and yeah, that's all I can really say about this. People are either gonna love this or hate it. It's a very, very dark romance, and it follows this girl named Mara, and she is a starving artist. She loves art, but she is broke as hell. She lives in San Francisco, and she's just really just, I love Mara as a heroine. I think she's so like beautiful and so fun to read about. She just is the type of person who I describe her as a Pisces. Like, she has many Pisces placements. I know this for a fact. Mara is a water sign. Mara is our heroine, and Cole is our hero. Cole is the opposite of Mara. He is a wealthy artist. Everybody knows who he is. He's very famous, and he has a rival, and that is Alistair Shaw. Alistair Shaw is another like well-known artist, very rich, and Cole and Alistair have been rivals since the very get-go. Like, they've just always been rivals. And so what's interesting about these two is that they're also like sociopathic killers. They like to kill people who get on their nerves. Alistair likes to kill women. Cole doesn't kill women, but they kill whoever and stick it into their art, and it's usually like the greatest piece of all time when they do stuff like that. And so Alistair and Cole cannot see each other. They hate each other. Cole thinks he's above Alistair, and Alistair's like, no, you're just the same as me, and I'm gonna prove that to you. So one day there was like an art showing or like a gallery event or whatever, and Cole sees Mara there and he's kind of like interested in her but not really. He doesn't really care. Again, sociopath. But 𝓲𝓸𝓬𝓬𝓪 notices Cole checking out Mara, and he decides to prove that Cole is just like him. He's going to kidnap Mara, tie her up, and give her to Cole to see what Cole does. Is he gonna kill her or whatever? But 𝓲𝓸𝓬𝓬𝓪 thinks that Cole's gonna kill her because obviously he thinks that they're one and the same. So that happens. She gets kidnapped and just laid out for Cole to kill, and Cole sees her, but he's like, you know what, I'm not gonna do anything at all because 𝓲𝓸𝓬𝓬𝓪 is very clearly trying to set me up. So he goes about his business, and Mara is so strong of a heroine that she escapes this, she gets out of it, and she goes on to live her life. She's like, this sucks, it happened. But when Cole sees Mara again, he is shocked. He's like, how did she survive this? Like, I'm so confused. And he starts stalking her and becoming obsessed with her and falling in love with her and inserting himself into her life. And it's just fantastic. I love this series. It's a duet. And I know that people are, it's hard to get past what Cole did, which is leave Mara there. Like, she almost died. But once you do, it's great. I mean, I didn't have trouble getting past it because, again, I love dark romance, but that's why I think people are either gonna love this or hate it. But I'm pleasantly surprised. Whenever I do recommend this book to someone, they read it, they love it, and they're like, oh my gosh, you're so right. So I feel like the majority, at least of my viewers, will really like this book. The next prompt is, give a book for someone who needs to get in their feels. And I will tell you, there is no better book than A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. I love this book. It made like one of my favorite books of last year list. I sobbed this book. This book was so beautiful and so dreamy and lyrical. I always say that when describing this book because it's so true. It's just a book with the prettiest writing. This is basically a Dracula's Bride's retelling, and it is gorgeous and it is sad. It follows a very toxic and abusive relationship between Dracula and his first wife, and it is great. Like, there are quotes in here. Like, this is by far like my most tabbed book. You can't even tell how tabbed it is, but let's just pull out a line. Okay, this is a good one. I realized with shattering terror that I had no idea who I was if you were not at my side. And so there's just really pretty good things like that. It's a very toxic and abusive relationship. You see the very beginning of Dracula saving Constanta, I still don't know how to say it, and you see her fall out of, like, become so in love with him and so obsessed with him and grateful for him and needing him and going through great depressions without him, but then feeling so much better when he's there, and the highs and lows of that, and then finally realizing what kind of relationship she's in and that she needs to get out of it. And it's so good. Like, this book had me sobbing. Highly recommend if you need to get in your feels. Like, anybody who has been in a toxic abusive relationship, I highly recommend this book because it was so insightful and so beautiful. The next prompt is, give a book with immaculate vibes, and for this I chose 𝓲𝓸𝓬𝓬𝓪 by Runex. This book, the vibes in here, don't let witch talk find this book because we're in danger. But like, this book, guys, is just so good. The vibes in here, I kid you not. As soon as from the like jump, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so into this. This book follows this girl, Corvina, and Corvina has grown up kind of isolated from the outside world. Her mom and her have always been like the talk of their town. They're kind of isolated. They kind of live in the woods. The town always has spread rumors about them that they're witches. They have these purple eyes and nobody really likes them. She kind of grew up in a way that like is not really normal to most. Like, her mom loved her very deeply and very dearly, but she never would speak to her. Homeschooled from her mom. Her mom taught her how to read tarot cards and make medicine, and just very like witchy, like really good vibes. Crystals and like charging your crystals and things like that. And so basically something happens to Corvina's mom. We don't know what, but Corvina's kind of out on her own and she wants to leave town. And right when she decides she wants to leave town, she gets this letter in the mail, and it is inviting her to join this school called the University of Verranmore. And at this point, Corvina's kind of she's 21 years old, or maybe even 20, but she decides to go. She decides to leave her past behind, get out of this town, and go to this new school. And the school is very weird off the bat. Ravina can feel energies and like spirits, and she just feels a horrible vibe at this school. Tons of people have died there. It's just a weird vibe. And it's actually a teacher-student relationship with her professor, and it's so great and so spooky and just weird and witchy. It's just such a great book, and I think that the vibes in here are great. I can't really explain too much without giving it away, but weird things are happening in here, and it's great. It's magnificent. The next prompt is give a book for someone who likes to be surprised, and that is for me to burn in brutal rapture. I think that this book will be the literal shock of your life, because it was for me and it was for my friend Reagan. We were buddy reading it at the time, and whew, let me tell you, we were so shocked when we were reading this book. I really can't say too much without giving it away. This book, I'll give you like the main basis. This book follows this girl named Tracy. Ever since her mom passed away, her dad's best friend Lazarus has been there for Tracy and her father. While her time growing up, he's been there to help out with her math homework because he's really good at math, and he's just always been in her life. And when Tracy gets a little bit older, she starts to realize that there is an attraction there between her and Lazarus. She really finds him attractive and likes him, and he is just like this scowling big guy who is really grumpy to everyone else. But her and her father and Lazarus are best friends, and that's all I can really say without giving too much away. This book really shocked me though, and I definitely think you should check up on the trigger warnings, because this book does have some triggers. They're not coming to my mind right away, but this book will surprise you. That's all I can say on that. If you want a good surprise that will literally leave you breathless and gaping at your book, highly recommend. The next prompt is give a book for someone who needs a little love, and for this I am recommending Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. This book, literally, I would give this to anyone who needs love in their life. Like, I would literally just lend out my copy. Here you go, take this. You need to feel warmth and happiness and sunshine and love and butterflies, and this is the book to do it. I think this whole entire series is great for somebody who needs a little bit of love in their life. It follows this girl named Chloe Brown, and Chloe Brown is chronically ill, and her entire life she's been super careful and very type A, and just like really wanted to live life carefully, until one day she almost got into an accident, and she realized and thought to herself, if I died right now, what would there be to say about my life? How do I want to live my life? Like, how something needs to change. And so she decides to make a get a life list, and this is kind of like a bucket list where she wants to accomplish a bunch of things, and one of the things on the list is to move out of her parents' home. So she does that, and she moves into an apartment, and there she meets Red, and Red is kind of like the, I don't know, either a landlord or handyman. He works for the apartment complex in one way, shape, or form, and he's this like big tattooed man, and he rides motorcycles, but he is the biggest sweetheart, and just his looks are so deceiving. Like, he is one of my favorite book boyfriends ever. He is just great. Chloe and Red get off on the wrong foot kind of at first. Red thinks that Chloe doesn't like him, and Chloe thinks that Red doesn't like her, so they don't get off on the right foot right away. Red comes to Chloe for needing something. Chloe decides to help him out if Red helps her out complete the things on this list, and from there romance ensues. This book made me so happy, and I was just smiling while reading this book. I think it's so cute and such a meaningful book to me for some reason. Like, this book just made me so happy. So I definitely recommend this entire series to anybody who needs a little love in their life right now. The next prompt is give a book that's an old favorite, and for this I'm giving Vicious by L.J. Shen, my OG favorite book. This is just, again, another book that some people love and some people hate. This was, I want to say, my introduction to bully romances. After this, there was no going back. I fell in love with bully romances, and it just is like an old favorite to me. I go back here for comfort. I reread this book a shit ton whenever I'm trying to get a friend to read a book of mine. It's always Vicious. It is just so great. It is toxic romance heaven, and I don't know, it just has a special place in my heart, especially when you read like the other books in the Sinners of Saints series and realize how in love Vicious has always been with Amelia. It is heaven and magic, and this will always be like one of my favorite books. It's an old favorite for sure. The final prompt is give a book that you think everyone should read. For sure, a book that I think everyone should read is Wolf Song by TJ Klune. This book is literally happiness in a book and sadness in a book and just beauty in this book. Like, I just cannot rave about this book enough. I think that everybody should pick up this book to feel everything, like literally to feel everything. This book is great. It basically follows this guy named Ox, and he's been told his entire life that he's dumb and he won't amount to anything and he's just stupid. His father left him and his mother when he was a child, and ever since he left, he's always been told that he's now the man of the house. He needs to take care of his mom. That's just how things need to be. When Ox turned 16, he met this little boy, and this little boy and his family had just moved across the road from Ox, and Ox and Joe, the little boy, they become the best of friends. Ox is always there for Joe, Joe is always there for Ox, and their families become super tight-knit and close, and it just becomes this big ultimate like found family. What's interesting about this book is that Joe, the little boy, he hadn't spoken in 2 years before meeting Ox, which really just, I love this book. The next year after meeting Joe, Ox finds out this huge secret about Joe and his family, and that is that they are werewolves. Wolf song. And from there, just craziness. And like, I don't want to spoil anything about this book, but just know that if you love found family trope, if you love the found family trope, if you love just like an emotional, insightful, beautiful, beautiful book, I highly recommend this book. I originally listened to it on audio, and I think I'm gonna go back and read it soon physically, because it was just, I will never ever get over this book. It was brilliant. And that was the last prompt for the give a book tag. I'll have the original video linked down below, as well as all the questions. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you guys found some new recs to add to your ever-growing list. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, don't forget to leave a big like and a comment down below, and also subscribe so you never miss a new upload from me, and I will see you very shortly with a new video. Bye!
If I got one thing right, it was you and me.